We've previously covered how work is a soul-draining experience, especially when more and more people are finding work unfulfilling and tedious. That is, if you can even find a real job that isn't some ghost listing or isn't some gig job like DoorDash. But there are still ways to enjoy yourself while training to be a better driver. The more your skills improve, the more fun you can have on the road. Like how in the late 80s when street racing was more niche, but both teens and office workers could spend nights racing on the streets. The reason I'm sharing all this is because you can have your fun without being reckless. Back then, money actually bought you a quality car and even repairs if you crashed. Nowadays, you would need to take a bank loan to pay off a major repair bill. With that in mind, I want you to pay extra attention and focus, because these lessons are not for the faint of heart or those who easily fall into a panic. Again, I reiterate that the lessons in this video are going to be intense. I have reviewed some of the suggestions from the previous video and have incorporated them into various techniques that will be detailed in this one. So if you have suggestions of your own, then by all means, please leave a comment. Now let's get started. Number 1. Backwards driving. Get used to driving in reverse. Start off simple like Mater. Take it slow, getting used to moving backwards.
Shoot, I'm the world's best backwards driver. Just watch this right here, lover boy.
When doing this, it's best to use an open and empty parking lot. Let me restate that again. An empty parking lot, or clearing. I'm trying to help you minimize risks during this training. If you paid attention to my previous video, you should have purchased some cones to set up an obstacle course. See how close you can get without running over the cones. Then once you have a steady handling on driving backwards, start doing it faster and faster. This practice will help a great deal with parallel parking or getting into parking spaces quicker. You'll also be able to better understand the tools your car offers, such as movable mirrors or rear-view cameras. Play around using these tools and then without. Get used to different methods to find out which works best for you. In time, you might be able to pull off high-level techniques like the O'Connor special.
Show off! That's the Brian O'Connor school of driving right there, baby!
But it's very dangerous to perform, and it's powerful enough to cause a person to rethink their life as a street racer or driving in general. So please, use this power responsibly. We'll talk more on this another time. The next two on this list are similar in methods, yet different enough that you'll have to spend different days when to perform them. That said, number 2, steady cruise control. Most, if not all, modern cars have the cruise control feature, which allows your car to drive at a set speed, so you don't have to press on the gas pedal. But there are two major problems with that. The first being it makes you lazy and dulls your senses when you get used to the car doing part of the work for you. Some cars, particularly SUVs, will automatically decrease speed when it detects another vehicle ahead. And the second issue is that cruise control will actually waste more gas rather than save it. We'll discuss more on this in a later video. That's why for now, I want you to drive down different roads at a set speed limit of your choice. Using your foot on the pedal, keep the car going as steady at that speed for as long as you can, going at most 3 above or below the limit. After a week, you should be able to get this down to 1 or maintain a steady speed. This will force you to adapt to the changes in road elevation and how to account for them. Plus, you'll jumpstart your brain to function in a higher cognitive state the more you use it. As for the next part, number 3, stable throttle control. Here is where you'll actually be saving on gas, whereas cruise control will waste it. Because this time, your task is to keep your foot on the gas and keep your leg locked in that position. Consider this more a physical endurance test, because when you're a driver, every day is leg day. The only time you should ease off would be when making a turn or slowing to a stop. Speaking of, that brings us to our next point and a very dangerous advanced tactic. Number 4, no braking. You heard me right. I'm telling you to stop relying so much on your brakes. That's why I'm putting conditions when you actually can brake. When you need to slow down, you'll only ease your foot off the throttle. Yes, even when going through highway or city traffic, you'll follow this method. If that means you need to drive slower at first, so be it. Get comfortable not relying on your brakes so often. The only times you're allowed to use your brakes is whenever you're coming to a sharp corner and hard stop situations such as stop signs, traffic lights, pedestrians, or a sudden change in traffic requiring rapid deceleration. Start off slow, week by week, using your brakes 80% of how you usually do. Then the next, decrease their use even more to 50%. Continue doing this until you barely even touch them. I expect this would take the most time to get control over on this list, as this is a challenging one to overcome. If you do this right, then you'll actually be able to travel faster, as you'll be less impulsive in decisions that would lead to slowing you down using as little movement as possible. This method will also teach you to go slower to move faster.
Oh, right. That makes perfect sense.
You'll get to understand the limitations your car's engine may have. Plus, you might be able to unlock your latent abilities, a sort of superpower, just like Fujiwara.
He said that when he drives, everything else gets slower and slower. But it wasn't his eyes, it was him getting faster.
I'll explain what I mean later, so be sure to stay subscribed for more. Number 5 is a more advanced method of what I discussed previously: tactical tailgating. We've discussed following behind other drivers in order to study their movements and driving style. This is the next stage of that technique. Now you're to match their speed best you can, meaning if they go faster, you go faster. If they slow down, you do the same. This also applies if they start to veer a little left or right in the lane. This is a good way to understand how drafting, or a driving technique where one car follows closely behind another vehicle to reduce drag and increase speed, works.
Good evening, Storm.
How did you...
Just back here drafting on your butt. Nothing to be concerned about.
Like 2 bucks on a summer night.
Unlike a race, this will require much more skill and reaction time, as driving on public roads has a lot more stop-and-go movements, including on the highways. Some drivers might get indignant and try to brake check you if they feel you're too close. That's why I want you to maintain a distance of 1 to 2 car lengths. Depending on where you're from, the condition of the roads, current speed, the vehicle you drive, or the one you're following, this distance may be expanded further. Keep in mind, trucks and SUVs have all-wheel drive setups allowing stronger braking compared to an FF or FR. So it will be your discretion to how long you decide to follow along. I would recommend about 60 seconds minimum per person. This should give you more variety without causing too much suspicion from the driver ahead, if the flow of traffic permits such. After some time, combined with other techniques from the other video, you can almost predict when the other driver is going to slow down. A lot of focus and concentration is required, and quick motion on the brakes is needed. If you get this down pat, then you should only be lightly touching them, if at all. You're allowed to use the brakes when necessary. Here's a bit of a fun one. Number 6. When driving or performing training from any of my videos, I want you to start listening to Eurobeat the entire time. Funk and workout music works too. Download some of your favorite music onto your iPod or CD, then connect it to your stereo system, and start playing them whenever you drive. The more it excites you getting your blood pumping, the better. Now take that intensity and put it all into your focus. I'm well aware about the memes about how Eurobeat gets people excited to try drifting. Kenta, if you will.
Hey Internet, I'm Kenta Nakamura, and I'll be reading comments on here from now on in these videos. 1. Buy a new car. 2. Play this song. 3. Buy a new car. 4. Play Tokyo Drift. 5. Buy a new car. 6. Die. Hey,
Thank you, Kenta. For the rest of this section, I'll provide a list of recommendations. You might be surprised the sort of music you can find. And don't worry about listening to copyrighted music. Go right on ahead and do as you must. There are all sorts of methods to enjoy it. Plus, it's a way to find and support content creators that make Eurobeat mixes. The purpose of this exercise is maintaining self-control. If you can resist the temptation to allow your emotions to drive you, you'll not only be a better driver, but remain in better control of yourself. This may take a while to accomplish, so take your time here. Driving like a pro can be exciting, but it requires a lot of concentration and focus that keeps that excitement under control. Or in another way to put it, locking in. This is how you can overcome the meme and become a real driver that people make Eurobeat edits of. This next technique will be another terrifying method to follow. Number 7, steady in your lane. This one is a lot harder than you may realize, especially with the flow of traffic and how other drivers aren't always paying attention to the roads. Maintain that center in your driving lane, try to gauge what is the middle point for your car, and keep straight. When changing lanes, do so as if on rails. Be consciously aware of your lane change and the shifting of the car's weight. This will require a lot of concentration and judgment on your part. The more you do this, the sharper your mind becomes and be able to judge the area around your vehicle, even against strong winds. So even when you come across aggressive drivers trying to cut you off or not let you into the lane, you should be able to judge the space if you have enough room to get in or not before they close that gap. Our natural inclination is to have a knee-jerk reaction and try to avoid the other driver. But in doing so, it could easily cause you to lose control in trying to overcorrect and be the one that bumps into other drivers. The faster you go, the harder it becomes to control the car. So making any sudden movements will cause the car to sway and possibly sideswipe another car or the guardrail. Add this to quick lane changes, and you'll be able to be steadier in your driving habits. It will help you to get into the next lane before people can cut you off. Defensive driving doesn't mean driving in fear, but to be steady in purpose and movement. If you're already in your lane, then they'll have to slow down, or their insurance companies will get on their backs. Just limit your countersteer when straightening up your vehicle. And like we covered before, that as long as you have a dash cam, you should be fine even if you get bumped. As long as you can prove you were already in the lane and have the footage, you can prove that the other party was at fault. Just be sure you're not using this method as an excuse to blatantly cut in front of other drivers. Also, you can still avoid road hazards like potholes, litter, or oil spills. And lastly, number 8. We've talked on this channel a few times how slow entry on the highway is extremely dangerous, so here's a method to help counter it. When going behind a slow driver and there's a semi-truck coming up, you have two options. Either try to illegally pass around on the shoulder, or slow down to allow the truck to pass. So let's take that second option and work it to our advantage. Depending on how long the entrance ramp is, it would be best to drive slower at the start, giving traffic ahead of you time to merge. If you can tell they're driving slower than they should, then you won't be trapped when oncoming traffic hits. Gauge the opening and watch the flow of traffic. Then punch it. You should be the one moving faster anyways when entering the highways. You just yield if another car is coming up that's matching your speed or is ahead of you. As a bit of warning, I want you to know that if other cars are moving fast, such as the high-speed lane, that does not mean to directly cut in front of them. If you're able to move faster or see that lane is open, then you're free to cut over as necessary if it means getting around slower vehicles ahead of you. This technique is the opposite of just lightly tapping on the gas pedal we discussed previously. The purpose of this one is to get an intimate feel of your vehicle. Testing the limits of your car's acceleration. Is it a naturally aspirated car? Or a vehicle that doesn't have additions like the turbo or supercharger? Then your acceleration should be gradual. Does it have a turbo? Then you'll need to be aware of your revs, as your turbocharger needs to spool up before you get that boost unless it's a twin. What transmission do you drive? If it's a manual, you can stay in the lower gears to push more power and accelerate faster. Play around with this to get a feel of how fast your car can move when you try pushing it. As you get to understand this, you're also able to make better judgment calls when switching lanes or passing slower drivers. Combine this technique with the timed lane change method, and you'll be practically unstoppable on open highway roads. Again, I want to reiterate that once you do reach the highway, you do not have to keep accelerating. Just enough to safely get around slower drivers without ramming into anyone. With practice, you'll be able to see openings and when to take them. If at any point during your training with these methods you feel uncertain of your abilities or the pressure is too much, then pull over towards the slow lanes and take it easy. Give yourself a mental break and try again later. I still want to emphasize safety, so it's best not to force yourself if you feel exhausted. Some of you may be wondering, but Ryosuke, you brilliant charismatic devil, why would you suggest such dangerous methods that could easily get someone into an accident? Well, viewer, I did state these wouldn't be for the faint of heart. I wouldn't recommend anything that I myself haven't verified from my own theories or put into practice. I mean it when I say you're in good hands, long as you use good judgment and apply yourself. Believe in yourself a bit, and you'll be amazed at how far you'll go. Besides, every last one is street legal long as you apply them correctly. Yes, I do read your comments, so if you have other driving techniques that you use, I would be interested in testing them out, then sharing my findings in a future video. Like and subscribe if you find these tips useful or plan to try them out. Remember, keep those engines roaring, and you're on your way to the next stage.